Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, Gary here for Bizarre Brain Comics. Thanks again for joining me. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, examine the characters and creators, and break down the stories and the art. And this time I want to take a look at this book right here from DC Comics, 1975, Tor #2 by Joe Kubert. The World of a Million Years Ago. Their time scale is a little off, but that's okay. Okay, this is Tor #2, 1975 by Joe Kubert, reprinting Tor #1 from 1952 by DC Comics. The character was created, written, and drawn by Joe Kubert. Tor is a dinosaur battling caveman from the world of a million years ago. Long a fan of the works of Edgar Rice Burroughs, with thrilling stories of jungle adventure and fighting great prehistoric beasts, this caveman fare was a natural for his imagination and pen. The creation of Tor was largely inspired by the 1940 caveman dinosaur film 1 million BC. I showed a couple snippets there at the beginning. And that was remade as the Raquel Welch vehicle 1 million years BC from the, what was it, 66, 67? And of course, we know that humans and dinosaurs are separated by 65 million years of time. But it makes for great thrills in movies, stories, and comics. And of course, I've talked about Joe Kubert several times. I went into depth in that early episode of the Viking Prince, which was just about 2 or 3 years after this was originally printed, and just a few weeks ago, I did a war comic of Joe Kubert, done by Joe Kubert. But that was written by Robert Kaniger, or Kaniger, or Kanier, however the hell you say his name. But this was, the whole package of this was done by Joe Kubert. And of course, Joe Kubert is best known for all his work for many years on the DC War comics. And of course, his marvelous adaptation of Tarzan for DC Comics. I think it was starting at 72. Now this was published after he had stopped doing the artwork, writing and artwork on Tarzan, but I think he was still editing at the time. Then Tarzan was just a perfect fit for him, for his kind of work. So is Tor. Now, so let us let us go meet Tor in the world of 1,000,000 years ago. Okay, here we go. Now you can see the whole cover image done by Joe Kubert. Of course, this is very fantasy filled, which is fine. It's a Tor saving this lovely blonde lady from a rampaging Triceratops. Don't know why a Triceratops would be rampaging down on them, but you never can tell. I said that's issue 2. Here is issue 1. Also by Joe Kubert. First DC issue. I think when the Tor was originally published, I think it was done by Quality Comics, and DC acquired a lot of Quality characters, but I think Joe Kubert retained ownership of the Tor character. And while here originally it only ran for 3 or 4 issues, I think, in 52. And then again here in 75, 76, it ran again for just 4 or 5 issues. But it keeps coming back. In the, I believe it's in the 90s, Joe Kubert did a Tor miniseries published by Marvel's Epic line. I think it was just a 4-issue miniseries. And then it popped up again in the 2000s, again published by DC Comics. And but in the later versions, as I understand it, because I haven't seen all of them, they pretty much have dispensed with the dinosaur stuff. Because, well, people are a little more aware of that time difference with dinosaurs, but I still love it, even though I know it's hokey. I just consider it fantasy because we know humans and dinosaurs did not coexist, unless you happen to believe that the Flintstones was a documentary. And I love these stories. I love Edgar Rice. I've mentioned before, Edgar Rice Burroughs is my favorite author, and he's come up with many ways of having dinosaurs in his stories and other extinct prehistoric beasts, as have other artists, writers, and artists, and of course the dinosaur movies. I love the dinosaur movies. That's 1 million BC, 1,000,000 years BC, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, etc. And I especially love the stop motion technique for animation. The in 1 million BC, those little snippets that I showed at the beginning, when that was Victor Mature playing the caveman, was fighting a dinosaur, and that was supposed to be like a smaller Allosaurus or something like that, and that was, of course, a man in a suit that he was fighting. But through the bulk of the movie, they used lizards in makeup as their dinosaurs. So they didn't look like dinosaurs, that they just had frills and horns and stuff on them as the lizards fought one another. It's still good fun. And then, of course, later on we had the stop motion stuff up until now, when we have the CGI, which often still looks good. Now, this first issue here, when Kubert did it, he produced an entirely new, of course, and he introduced it as he does in the other Tor stories. He introduced it, and then here is our first meeting of the character of Thor fighting a dinosaur for meat. And then he produced this specifically for this issue. And that's why we will see how his style has matured somewhat. And the bulk of the story is flashback to some events that happened when he was a boy. And here he is with his father and mother in the cave, and how he had bullied, beaten by someone from another tribe, stuff like that. Ultimately, saving someone's life, and that was good fun. But then here is reprinting 1952 Joe Kubert, and there is Joe Kubert introducing it again. And this, the title of this particular story was A Million Years Ago, and that is obviously a take off of 1 million BC. And of course, 1 million years ago is still 65 million years away from the dinosaurs. But it's some great, right off the bat, see some dinosaurs battling, and there we see Thor. And he looks a little gruffer, and with a little bit more beetling brow than later. It's got the fur girdle and a stone-headed axe. And so he's going on his hunt. He passes by this saber-tooth. Again, saber-tooth tigers and dinosaurs did not coexist. But the cat is eating and is not interested in attacking the man. And then it shows here how men have, compared to the size of the dinosaurs, and yet they managed to survive while those giant beasts did not. He's going on through the forest because he is out hunting. Now, he had some really good, you can see in this figure right here, some really nice anatomy and a little more bulky detail than we usually see in Kubert's work later on. But if you and you can still clearly see that it's Kubert if you happen to be an aficionado of his work. But you can also see that it is less mature than his later work. And here he is. He's going to makes himself a little spear so he can go fishing, and he hears this monkey being menaced by this beast. And this is one of the distinctions of Thor. Again, look at a great figure as he draws back that spear to launch it. The great detail in his musculature, without being like superhuman or anything, just a strong, muscular man. And his empathy, that really sets him apart from most of the other cavemen in the stories. His empathy. So that's a great one. Throwing that spear. What I think what would have been really great, but I think it's before they did much of that, is to have that spear breaking the borders of those panels. That would have been really, really magnificent and made it more three-dimensional looking. But that's just my opinion after the fact. But still, it attacks the plesiosaur, kills it, and saves the monkey. And a typical Kubert figure. You see that so many times. We saw it in the other book over here. See it here. You see it in like Sergeant Rock and the stuff, that figure posed like that. And we see it a lot with Tarzan. So then the monkey becomes his friend. This is not unlike Tarzan and Nekima. The monkey, not Cheetah. Cheetah was the movies. Nekima from the books. And he has friends, and they skirt the blood of that dead plesiosaur. The scent has drawn the attention of other predators. So they hurry off and go back to Thor's village. And this guy here, Klar, and he's kind of harassing Thor because he come back empty-handed, and he's got the little Chi-Chi, what he calls him, little Chi-Chi, the little monkey, Chi-Chi. But when they're about to come to blows, he realizes it was Thor cows him because Klar is not going to risk it, because because he knows Tor has a good chance of beating him in a fight. Then they hear more noise, more sounds, and one of the other tribesmen who is out scouting is being harassed by T-Rex or Nallosaurus. I don't know which, of course. Here's a nice. This shows a whole lot right in that long panel. We see Zool is basically treed on that cliff where the dinosaur is almost able to get him, but not quite. And he's going to if he's not careful. As Tor approaches and the others are behind him, they say, well, it's too late. We can't help him. It's a chance for us to get away. But Tor, being Tor, he's brave and strong and compassionate. And he has to go to the help of his tribesmen, of his fellow tribesmen. Pushing over a massive boulder, which crashes down on the dinosaur. Now this is great. This is some great visual storytelling here. It's almost animation. You see where the rocks are plummeting down on the beast, hitting it, crunching its head and burying it until it's finally killed by tons and tons of rock. That's great. Some great visual storytelling there. And as I said, it's almost animation. But the beast is still alive. It might be able to get away. Might eventually get out and be a menace again if it's not too badly injured. So Tor takes the opportunity and slays it with his axe, repeatedly smashing it in the head. And probably already had after those huge boulders hitting it, it probably already had a cracked skull. So Zool, in his way, thanks Tor, while the Klar is not happy. He's not happy at all. And he wants to get rid of Tor. So, since he can't harass Tor himself, he harasses Chi-Chi. And for that, Tor does slug him, take him down. And just as the two men are about to fight, the chief throws his spear in between them, stopping them, commands them to cease battle. Now this here, we never see this female very well, but she is later the romantic interest of Tor, the chief's daughter. Beautiful red-headed daughter. I think he may have had a thing for redheads because it was a beautiful redhead in it was a chieftain's daughter in the Viking Prince. It was his main love interest as well. And like her, I can't see her so well here, but like her, she kind of resembles Lucille Ball, a young Lucille Ball. Now he stops to scope out the stuff. So here we go. We're back at the story. And Zool, the man that Tor saved and befriended, overhears Klar and Ak talking, how they're planning to ambush and kill Tor. And he there he goes. He tells Tor, and they snatch his little friend Chi-Chi and just squeeze him, make all kinds of noise to draw Tor. Well, Tor is a little bit forewarned, but he's still a little reckless, and he falls into a tiger pit. Boom, which they had set. That was their trap. And they were going to going to murder him. But Zool, he intervened, saving Tor. But in the process, he smashes Zool with his axe and kills him. Tor gets out of the tiger pit and just beats Klar to death, rather brutally from the looks of it. It doesn't show the detail, but you can see that that's what happened. And then when the rest of the tribe comes and is drawn by the noise, by the sound of the battle, He says, Tor has slain Klar, the leader of the hunt. Kill him, kill him. Because death was to be his punishment for murder, of course. He bore false witness and had him murder Klar when he just beat the crap out of him. Beat him to death, justifiably so, because it was self-defense. But the chieftain has a little bit of a soft heart because he knows his daughter is sweet on Tor. So instead, he banishes him. And so, without a word in his own defense, Tor takes up his axe and his little friend Chi-Chi and strides off alone into the jungle, where in primitive times like this, being banished from the tribe was a death sentence because there was strength in numbers. And that's the end of that story. And then it followed up with another story from that book. It was Danny Dreams. It was just a story about this boy at a Natural History Museum, looking at the fossils and stuff, and he falls asleep, and he's transported back in time with the cavemen and the prehistoric beasts, and as they fight, and he's being menaced, and they fight each other, and he just witnesses it, and it's just a dream. And when he comes up from the dream, he sees the fossils of the two beasts that had menaced him in the exact same position as they had been found, and just as they were in his dream. That was just a nice little backup story. And that's all I have to tell you for now about Tor. We might do some other Tor later. We'll definitely be back for some dinosaurs. And that's all I've got. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you like this, even if you don't. And share it with your other dinosaur-loving friends and comic book friends. And all that jazz. Remember, comics are art.